I got a call from my local fish store the other day saying that he had some Hillstream Loaches available. We've been keeping them in really low pH in these dirty aquariums, and you can see we've got breeding going on. So I've also just gone ahead and collected out these celestial pearl danios, so you can see we've got 9. Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Keeping Fish Simple. So in today's video, we are going to be starting off the first, I guess, episode of a new kind of video series that I want to try and just experiment with a little bit. And this is going to be like my day in the fish room vlogs. So I've been getting a lot of requests for, more of my vlog content. Lately I've been working on producing a lot of really high quality content, and you guys have been enjoying that a lot, and that's not going to stop. But there's tons of stuff in this room that I would love to record, but for some reason I just don't record it because I can't bundle it into a video easily, and it only really makes sense to make it in a vlog. Now, I obviously, like most creators, struggle a little bit with perfectionism, and then I think, well, I'm not going to make a vlog because I'm not going to be able to make it perfectly. I won't get the scenes perfect, and I don't think you can really do that with any kind of vlog. But, I've just decided to rip the band-aid off, and I've decided to just try and experiment with making these vlogs. I don't know what they're going to be like. I'm just going to show you guys what I've been working on in the fish room. Today, we've got some new pickups. So I picked up some new Hillstream Loaches, and I'm going to talk about that. And yeah, I'm just going to take you around the fish room. There's a bunch of things that I want to show you guys that I need to work on because I've been slack lately. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this vlog. If you guys enjoy it, please let me know down below, because then I know to make more. And if you guys don't enjoy it for some reason, also let me know down below. I'll be sure to have a look at that comment and reply to it. Yeah, all the feedback you guys give me is really, really helpful in making better content, but this is just the kind of content that I like to watch and that I like to create as well. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here's the room currently, and you can see we're a little bit messy at the moment. There's hoses on the floor, there's nets out and stuff like that, but that's just how the fish room gets after a little bit, so we'll have to clean that up. But the first thing that I was talking about was these brand new Hillstream Loaches. Now, if you guys have been following the channel for a bit, you'd know that I was going to try and breed Hillstream Loaches a couple of months ago. And then when I eventually got to setting up the tank and everything like that, I couldn't actually find Hillstream Loaches. Now, a lot of you guys would know that instead of picking up Hillstream Loaches, I picked up some Borneo suckers because I thought that they'd breed the same, and I didn't have any success breeding those. So I eventually just, decided to discontinue the project. I sold the Borneo suckers and I just moved on. But I got a call from my local fish store the other day saying that he had some Hillstream Loaches available. Now, I think the reason they're hard to come by here in Australia is because they might not be allowed to be imported. Now, I'm sure a lot of them do get snuck into Australia because they do look so similar to the Borneo suckers. But nonetheless, we do have some of these guys, and they were from a local breeder. So we have 6 of them. You can see they're in here in this bag, and these guys are just in here temporarily while I'm setting up a tank for them currently. So you can see we've got some beautiful ones. I think these are just the normal types, so like the Swellia lineata, I think that's what they're called. I do believe we have a mix of males and females, so you can see right there, that should be a male down the bottom, and that could be another male there. And then I think this one would be a female maybe. But yeah, we'll have to see. If we don't get any males and females and no spawning going on, we'll obviously try and find some more to add to our colony. But I'm hoping we do have success with these guys. Apparently they're very easy to spawn and breed. So I'm really excited to see how these guys go if they do breed. I'm very, very hopeful that they will. A lot of people have had success with them. Apparently they're a lot easier than the Borneo suckers. Now they're going to be going in this tank down here, and you might be thinking, obviously this tank's very, very dirty. I just took all the fish out of this tank. There was a bunch of turquoise rainbows growing out in here. I've taken them out, and obviously it's stirred up the tank, and I've changed the sponge filter, given it a bit of a clean. And I'm just waiting for all this debris to settle down a bit, and then I'm going to try and do another siphon and get all that gunk out, and then we're going to set this aquarium up so those guys can go into it and start to breed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a big sand substrate with some of my rocks around the sides, so some big, flat, round and nice and smooth rocks, and then I'm just going to have the sponge filter, and apparently that's all I need. So we'll see how we go with that. But there has been a ton of stuff going on in the fish room. As of late, I've been a little bit slack with breeding because I've actually been focusing on trying to plan out and set up some, estimations and decide what I want to do in regards to setting up my next facility. So I am actually at the moment looking at upgrading my facilities. I want to take more of a wholesale approach in the next facility and try and, focus on intensive breeding a lot of these species. Like you can see here, we've got some rainbow fish, and there's obviously a zebra pleco there. I'd love to intensively breed some zebra plecos, but I think we'll have to be patient with that. But I've been planning out that new facility, and it's just been taking quite a lot of time, so I haven't really been focusing on doing much breeding. Like I have been breeding stuff, I've got tons of stuff breeding, but I haven't focused on breeding some of these things that need intense breeding schedules. So these rainbows haven't been getting bred, as well as these galaxy rasboras or celestial pearl danios, which I definitely need to breed and get focused on because there's a large demand for these guys in my area, and I just really am, wasting time not breeding these. I really need to get these going. So we're going to be focusing on trying to find these guys a new tank to start spawning them in. They're in here with these L270 plecos, and they just weren't spawning properly in here. I think there was a bit too high of a flow, and I just want these guys in a tank by themselves where I can try and hopefully just have them focus on breeding and breeding properly with just a sponge filter or something like that. But you can see over on this side of the fish room, we've got some empty hatcheries. We have like some ram eggs there, which I was just experimenting with, which weren't even viable. But we have some empty hatcheries here, so we're going to be resetting these guys up to get some more of them growing out because we need more rainbows, obviously. And we're going to need to find a tank somewhere in here for those celestial pearl danios to go into. I originally had them in here, but I cleared that tank out for some little peppermint bristlenose babies. So there wasn't a large batch in this clutch. You can see there's one up the back there. But we did get quite a few of them. I think there was probably about 30 in this batch. But we have tons of those growing out in the fish room at the moment. I mean, I think we have a tank in here with about 30 of them. And then over here we have like a couple hundred. So I think maybe there's 100 in here, and then there's probably 60 in here. So not a couple hundred, but a substantial amount. And some more good news is we actually have breeding in this tank. So we have 2 pairs of bristlenose in this tank, and we have 2 males on eggs. So both of these males are on eggs. I'm gonna get away because I'm freaking them out a little bit. But I've been seeing this female camping out a lot of the tanks. You can see she's camping out right now, and there's a male that she's flirting with. She doesn't look too gravid, so we'll see whether she lays many eggs. But I've really been doing something right with these bristlenose. I'm not too sure what it is. I've been keeping them in really low pH in these dirty aquariums, and you can see we've got breeding going on. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. Another thing that I need to get breeding is these Apistogramma fire golds. They have been spawning, and I just haven't been having any success with these guys. I tried taking them out of their caves and hatching the eggs myself, but that wasn't working. It's very hard to artificially raise cichlids when you're not here all the time, so it's best off to leave them with the parents, and I can't do that because there's 2 pairs in this tank. So you can see there's a male there, and there was a female that you saw before. But what we're gonna have to do is split the colony up, so we're gonna have 2 pairs, and we're gonna have 1 pair in each tank, and then when they spawn, I'm gonna take the male out so the female focuses on taking care of the eggs. I'm gonna see if that fixes them up. I also think the pH are too low in this aquarium, so we're just gonna be doing some more water changes and trying to get that pH at the right level. But we'll get these guys to successfully raise some fry. I just gotta really put some attention to it and focus on it. You might be wondering why I was even telling you that, and the reason is because I've taken this aquarium, which I'm going to use for breeding, and you can see on this tank I like to paint the sides so that they can't see into the other tanks, and it makes them feel a little bit more secure. So we've taken this aquarium out, and we're going to give it a coat of paint over here, so we're also going to do that. But let's get to work setting up this Hillstream Loach tank and trying to find some room for those celestial pearl danios, and also setting up some rainbow fish spawning mops in some containers. So you can see we've just set the aquarium up. I mean, like, you can't really see in here. So I'll show you guys what this thing looks like tomorrow. But at the moment, these guys have just been acclimating, and we're gonna add them to the aquarium now, and they'll be fine. We just have to keep the lid closed so they don't climb out, because that's something that a lot of people don't realize is these guys are actually able to climb out, and what they'll do is they'll climb just over this lip and then out onto the floor, and then they'll dry out. So we have to make sure that they don't climb out, so we'll put the lid on. But I'm really hopeful for this tank working. Another thing that I've been working on is trying to breed these black rams. Now, I've been breeding a lot of black rams in the past, and I've recently changed my method to breeding these guys from hatching out the eggs and raising the fry artificially to raising the fry with the parents. Now you can see there's a beautiful female in here, but I've got a few pairs in this fish room, and every time they've been breeding, they've been hatching the eggs, and they've been even getting the eggs to wrigglers, but they haven't been really doing a good job of getting the eggs to free swimming and onto a size where I can take them out and then, raise them up in a tank myself. I do have some fry, but I haven't been successful with it. Now, I think partly a problem with this is because these guys don't have anywhere good to burrow and put their wrigglers, so they just kind of give up and they eat their eggs. Now this is because these tanks are bare bottom. Now when these guys normally breed, rams, what they like to do is they'll lay their eggs and then they'll find a nice area in a substrate, they'll dig a burrow in there, and then they'll put their eggs in that burrow. So they're not able to do that. The only pair that I have that have been successful are up in this tank. I don't know where they've gone, there's a male there I think. And they were successful, but what they did was they bred and then they put their eggs in one of these terracotta pots, which was facing upwards, and that kind of acted as their burrow. And I think they've had 2 spawns since their most recent successful spawn, and these guys have just, they've stopped working as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna experiment in a couple of these tanks. I'm gonna add some substrate. So I've just gone ahead and washed some play sand, and I'm gonna put it in a couple of these tanks and see whether those rams start to shapen up a bit and get their act together. So yeah, I'll be obviously updating you guys over the next coming weeks as to whether this method's gonna work, but we're gonna add some sand to this tank, and yeah, I guess we'll just see what happens. Okay, so you can see now the tank has some of this sand along the bottom, so we'll just see, hopefully this stuff starts to work. You can see it's quite a thick layer, so there's like a few areas where they could burrow and put some eggs and some wrigglers in. So fingers crossed we see some success with this. I've also just gone ahead and collected out these celestial pearl danios, so you can see we've got 9 in here. There's one more that I have to catch out that's been hiding very, very well. You can see they're all fully grown, there's some good females and males in there, and they've been breeding quite well for me. Now I moved them into this other tank and then they just kind of stopped breeding, so we're moving them back into a breeding tank, which is over on the other side of the fish room, so I'll take these guys over there. And what we're going to be doing is experimenting with this end tank and seeing if we get any breeding in here. So this is quite a cool aquarium, which should help these guys to breed quite well. I'm actually going to be turning off this light manually and coming in the morning and then turning it back on so that these guys hopefully start to spawn. But if not, we're going to be catching out the eggs using a method that I've wanted to try for quite a bit. So we'll add these guys first. So introduce these guys. And then we're going to leave this container in here. And what we're going to do is, give me a sec. You can see I've just set up this thing. So this is a breeder box. Now I've just submerged this breeder box. I'm obviously not using it externally. You can see we're trying to utilize that egg divider down there. So the idea is that these guys will go in here, breed in that moss, and then the eggs will just fall through that and they won't be able to eat them, because that's a big problem with these guys, is they really do eat their eggs. There's 1 or 2 males that won't be breeding, that'll just be sitting down the bottom and having a nice little caviar breakfast every morning if you don't try and, you know, divide the eggs out or sit there and actually watch these guys spawn and get the eggs as they're spawning. So hopefully this starts to work. If this doesn't work, it'll probably be because this is too high and they don't go into that. So we'll just see. If this doesn't work, we'll just go back to our old method, because we do have quite a few fry. You can see in this aquarium, these are all celestial pearl danios that I have bred, and I've been actually like decently successful with them. So I'm just trying to like boost up my productivity with these, and hopefully this new method does work. So we'll know very, very quickly whether this method's working or not. But yeah. Okay, so I've just also finished up setting up these rainbow fish hatcheries. So you can see here we've got an empty one because I'm going to be using this to hatch the CPD eggs if we get any. So I've kept this one clear, but you can see here we've got 2 mops separated here. So we've got one mop with praycocks and this one's also got praycocks, but I've also set up down here these other 2 mops. So this is a mop with some turquoise rainbows, and then this is a Bosemani rainbow tank. So hopefully we do have eggs in both of these. I'm going to be really curious to see how many fry we get. I do know that there's snails in both of these mops, so they do definitely decimate the amount of eggs that are in these mops. So when you're breeding any fish, especially with small eggs, snails probably aren't the best thing to have in the tank, but they're in my system and, you know, there's not a lot I can do about that now. So just a quick little word of advice, but they don't seem to affect the populations too much because I have produced plenty of these guys in the past. So I guess that's going to be it for today. I'll check up with you guys tomorrow and we'll have a look at those Hillstream Loaches and see how they're going, and there should be some fry in these systems, so I'll see you guys in the morning. Okay, so it's now the next day and we're going to go check on our rainbow fish hatcheries, and I've had a quick sneaky look myself, and in here we've got our Bosemanis. So in here I've only seen one little hatchling, and I'm not too sure where he's going to be about, but he's in here somewhere. And then we can go over to our turquoise rainbows, and I haven't spotted anyone in here yet. I don't know whether we're going to see any hatchings in here yet. I'm going to leave these nets in here for the next 10 days, so they've still got quite a bit of time before there's going to be any eggs in here starting to hatch. And then up the top here in our Praycox rainbow tank, which is dwarf neon rainbows. You can see we've got a few little hatchlings in each one of these tubs. So you can see that would be a hatchling there. It's a little baby rainbow, and another little guy here. And the same goes for our other tub. These guys over here, there's also a few in here as well. So that's really exciting to see. I'm going to leave these guys for the next 10 days and then I'll take them out, and hopefully by that stage they'll be able to eat some powdered food, but until then I've been feeding them my Infusoria, so that's working really well. But we can also take a look at our Hillstream Loach tank. If we come on down here, you can see the tank's really cleared itself up now. There's not a lot of action in this tank yet because these guys are still settling in and they're hiding underneath the massive amount of rocks in this tank. So you can see what I've done is I've put the big boulders up the back, and then I've put all the little rocks down the front. And the reason I've added so many rocks is, first of all, these big flat rocks are going to be really good for them to stick onto and to, you know, have algae grow on, and they're going to really enjoy going and playing around them. But these smaller rocks up the front, I'm hoping they're going to spawn, and then the eggs are going to fall in between there, and then they'll hatch out hopefully, and we'll see what happens. But you can see we've only got one little guy down here that you can spot that's hiding behind the glass and this big boulder here. And there's a few other ones around in here. I've seen them all. I mean, they couldn't have climbed out because I've had the lid on all night. And I'm sure that they're still in here somewhere, but the tank's looking really good. I'm obviously going to keep you guys updated with how this breeding project goes. A lot of people would assume that with these guys you'd want really high flow and really cool water for their oxygenation requirements, but a lot of people have been having success just breeding them like this with a sponge filter and pretty high flow and just rocks in the tank, and I think this should work. So we're going to try and starve a bunch of these snails. There's quite a few of them in here because they're going to eat the eggs of these fish. But yeah, hopefully if we've got males and females, we do start to see some spawning. But that's pretty much going to wrap this video up, guys. So thank you so much for watching it. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, please leave a like because it lets me know that I should keep making these vlogs. And yeah, this is a little bit different from my normal videos, but let me know what you guys think. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.